Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. I, of course, am MrWarrenHayes. What are you talking about? And we're going to be talking, that's what we're talking about. We're going to be talking about professional wrestling here this evening. Yes, recording live here this evening on November 12, 2019, right here on youtube.com/ that's right, / Mr. Warren. Some people like to say /. I think if you say / I think everyone knows exactly what you're talking about. / seems, when people say that, feels like a waste of syllables. Feels like you could be making a more efficient use of your time rather than saying /. You just go in and it's like / and I think everyone gets it. youtube.com / MrWarrenHayes is where we're recording every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern is where the magic happens. And when we record live, that means that we have people who join us live here in the chat. We have a bunch of familiar faces per usual. Tim Travers here. Good to see you, Tim. Very good to see you. Kelly Tonjes is here as well. Robert Larry has joined us as well. Good to see you. Benoit is here. Look, we got a nice group of people here this evening joining us on youtube.com / MrWarrenHayes. If you're watching right now, hey, why don't you go ahead and give the video a thumbs up? That kind of thing always does help. And if you're watching later on your own accord, do the same thing. YouTube, you just give right here on YouTube, you just give the video a thumbs up, and that stuff really helps out a great deal. And on top of that, you know, the show is also available in podcast format on your favorite podcast application. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, thank you. I really appreciate it. That means a lot to me. And that means that you can also show some love there, either through a review, a subscription, a like, whatever. That kind of stuff helps out tremendously as well. Where'd my notes go? Oh, here they are. I was like, wait a minute, where'd all my notes go? They're here. Don't worry, I didn't lose my notes. But thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you tuning in, listening, watching, whatever it is you're doing. It's good, and I sincerely, truly appreciate it. Wait a minute, these aren't my notes. These are my notes. There we go. Hey, still some good stuff happening over on belltobells.com. The BELLTOBELLES, your women's wrestling wire. If you still haven't had a chance to listen to the interviews that we conducted for the PWI Women's 100, they're still there. It's still topical. You can go listen to these fantastic women talk about their career over the past year or so. It's good stuff. It's a good time. Why don't you go check that out? And of course, all sorts of great stuff regarding women's wrestling happening over there at belltobells.com. So that's fantastic. Go check that out. Another good thing to check out is the MrWarrenHayes Show, a Discord. Very cool place, very populous, lots of cool people that hang out there. Lots of people watching live at the same time, watching on, not watching here necessarily, but you know, when wrestling shows occur, there's a lot of cool live watching happening there as well. So go check it out on Discord. Find me there. You'll be able to jump in. It's outstanding. Don't forget, as per usual after this, of course, it's going to be the MrWarrenHayes Show post-show called Warren is Off the Clock, which happens immediately after this show here over on patreon.com / MrWarrenHayes. So it's for patrons only. We take calls. We have some interactive discussions. It's a good time. And tonight we're going to be talking about, got a couple of topics. We'll be chatting about the AEW Games reveal this week. I should do that in air quotes. Reveal. Not much was revealed. It was more like announcements. But hey, we'll talk about that a little later. Plus, why not talk about matches that we enjoyed in October? That's a lot of fun. I think we should hang around and chat about matches that we really enjoyed over the past 30 days or so. So let's do it. So come on over, join us. Patreon.com / MrWarrenHayes. It's also a great way to show support for the show. Another way for you to show support for the show, is to become a channel member here. You go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, join the channel. If you come here live and you want to have extra emojis to show off in the live chat, hey, I think it's the best deal. I think it's the best thing to do. Become a member, join the chat, and there you go. There you go. You have a bunch of emojis just there for you if you become a member, or you can also drop us a super chat and I will read your question and or comment online. And that, of course, is a good time. So feel free to do that. And, it seems like nothing. It seems insignificant, but it's not. Liking and sharing and all that stuff, it really sincerely does work. So there we go. With that, this is where we're at right now. I want to say hello to Mr. Fratz, who joined us in the chat. Good to see you. And DGMC is here as well. That's all good stuff. You know what else is good? Oh, Brian Payne just popped in as well. Good to see you as well. And on that note, we're going to head over to the weekly wrestling inspection and kick that one off. We are going to start tonight's show by going back over this weekend in pay-per-views. I had three. Last week, over 48 hours, I recorded 3 different podcasts. I did the MrWarrenHayes show. I did a prediction show for Full Gear with Jeff Hawkins, and I did a post show with Mags on Saturday morning to talk about Power Struggle. Now that that happened, so we're gonna start by talking about Power Struggle. Give you some final thoughts. If you want to hear the full, like the complete MrWarrenHayes experience in regards to Power Struggle, like I said, Mags and I broke down the show immediately after, and I wasn't half as tired as you thought I'd be. I want to say hello to Nick Wolf, who just left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Nick Wolf. He says, "I'm just here for the New Japan chat. Should have saved it for the end, and make sure you stick around the full time." I'm kidding. Well, it's good to have you, Nick. I'm glad to see you. RJ Krasinski is here as well, and Anakin JMT as well. Good to see everyone. So, final thoughts on Power Struggle. Toru Yano defeated Zack Sabre Jr. to retain the provisional King of Pro Wrestling 2020 trophy. It was fine. Your typical Yano match. I, like the ending. It's one of these silly endings where Yano Zack Sabre Jr. has Yano twisted up in a submission, and leg submission through a barricade. So while he's in the submission, Yano's like suffering. He's going, this hurts. And he's untying Sabre's boots, and he ties the laces together so that when the referee, who's counting to 20, when the referee starts counting and Junior releases the hold because he wants to book it to the ring, he can't. He's all tied up in the barricade, so Yano just books it. That's fine. That's what it is. It was all right. Shingo Takagi defeated Minoru Suzuki to become once again the never openweight champion. Again, this was a good match by our boys Shingo and Suzuki. Clearly they just wanted Suzuki to keep the belt warm for Shingo. I mean, I think it's the 3rd time that these guys fight this year. It's probably my least favorite of the 3 matches they've had, but it was far from being a bad match, like a far cry from being something even remotely close to terrible. So it was still fun. And I mean, I'll take Shingo and Suzuki beating on each other anytime over a whole bunch of other types of other rematches and revisitings and reimaginings, or whatever you want to call it. This was good. I really liked it. I thought it was a good fight. Shingo's back with the title, which I think suits him. The never openweight title is the workhorse belt of New Japan, especially since, the IC title, and even when the IC title was still single, it wasn't the workhorse like the never title was, so, I think, I think this is okay. As far as a title change goes, I think Shingo wears it well. I think he brought prominence to it over 2020 as well. I think he was very good with it leading into the New Japan Cup. His fights with Sho, it's been a good year for the Never title, if you ask me. Kazuchika Okada defeated the Great Okan, which essentially, basically, was just a lead-in to a Wrestle Kingdom match, right? There was nothing else that this match had to offer, really, than just the setup for a for the match between Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada. I didn't think the Great Okan was all that spectacular. I didn't think Okada brought anything really to the table. I thought it was passable, but it was really one of these matches where you sit through it, but you know where we're going with this. It's a mise en bouche for the bigger match down the road. I want to say hello to Kristen Ashley, the first lady of the MrWarrenHayes show. Good to see you, Kristen. And King Juni, who's here as well. It seems to me it's been a while. Good to see you. Good to see you back. Or maybe I'm just completely lost as far as the space-time continuum goes because 2020, right? Kenta defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi to retain his IWGP United States Championship Challenge Rights Certificate, i.e. the briefcase. Probably my match of the night. I really, really liked this match. I liked it tons. I really, really liked it. And it started off real fun too, with the Tanahashi when he does his air guitar thing. As he was doing the air guitar, he got kicked in the head by Kenta, who turned around and then he started to do an air bass, which was fantastic. He was messing up Tanahashi's hair, which is like, no, you don't mess around with his hair, which I thought was which was really funny. And then Hiroshi Tanahashi got his receipts, tossing Kenta to the floor, and then doing the air guitar out on the floor and patting his hair back. That was good. This was a good, strongly fought match. Kenta did some Bullet Clubbish shenanigans earlier in the match, but it didn't really matter because in the end, he got Tanahashi in the game over, his finisher, and boy, did he crank on it. He just cranked it back. Tanahashi submitted clean. So Kenta, Bullet Club, got a clean win, which is outstanding for Bullet Club, especially when you consider all the shenanigans that they pulled for Evil. But this is good. I like this. Kenta looked great. I think clearly they're going to give us the IWGP US match, US title match at Wrestle Kingdom. So we're going to get Kenta versus Jon Moxley at Wrestle Kingdom. And brother, I'm excited. I had predicted, if you recall last week, that maybe your money match would have been a little more along the lines of Tanahashi versus Moxley, because Tanahashi's a bigger name value, both in North America, but especially in Japan. So maybe that's really interesting. That would have probably been the bigger marquee match between the two. Thing is, when you look at it now, Kenta versus Mox, don't get me wrong, I got excited when this popped up, when Kenta won the New Japan Cup US. I got thrilled when that popped up. I was like, this is fantastic stuff. This is really, really fantastic stuff. I love it. Looking forward to him and Mox just beating the tar out of each other. This is going to be fun. What's interesting is we don't have a clear path for Tanahashi, right? We don't have a clear path for Tanahashi going into Wrestle Kingdom. That's what Mags and I talked about on Saturday morning. And it's odd to think that Tanahashi doesn't have like something in the works for him. Of course, last year, Tanahashi didn't necessarily have a clear path either, and all of a sudden, boom, Chris Jericho popped up, you know? Not that I think that Chris Jericho is going to come and challenge Tanahashi again this year. You know, I don't think it'd be all that interesting to revisit that. That's just me saying. But there's no path for our boy Hiroshi this year. Weird. But I mean, Mox and Kenta, that's going to be one that they burn the barn with. You know, a barn burner where you torch the barn and you set it on fire so it all comes down. Yeah. I want to say hello to Money Plugging and Vincent Elisar. Thank you very much. And it posits an interesting question here, Vincent. Thank you. I do believe, and we talked about this on Saturday morning as well. I think Jon Moxley drops the AEW World Championship to Kenny Omega. I really do. Because at some point he can't hold on to the U.S. title all that much either. You know, travel restrictions are still very, very complex. I don't know exactly what the plan is. You know, there's been talk about Kenta coming back to Orlando and being more of a fixture in New Japan US. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. But at some point, you know, if Mox arrives with the belt, with Big Platinum, right? And he arrives there with the IWGP US title, it's which one is more prestigious? Honestly, I think he does drop. I think he really does drop it. I really do. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So there we go. Next, where were we? Oh yeah, hey, Kenta Ibushi lost to fucking Jay White, and I'm still reeling on this one. Kota Ibushi becomes the first man, I think, in 16 years to defend the briefcase, his singles, his certificate challenge for the IWGP Heavyweight, and in this case, Intercontinental, IWGP Intercontinental Championships as well. First of all, I love this match. Jay White ate a stuffed pile driver, a bum-aye, and a last ride, but couldn't work. He avoids the Kamigoye, hits. This is how the match finishes. Avoids the Kamigoye, jumps up to put his feet on the ropes, and pins Kota Ibushi for 3, while fucking Marty Asani doesn't see a goddamn thing. Nothing. He doesn't. And he's not that he's like positioned to see exactly the ropes, but he's right there, and I'm like, Asani, open your goddamn eyes. So from now on, folks, we've got ourselves 2 trash refs here. We're starting to create a pantheon of contemporary trash refs. Or at least that, you know, enforce the rules whenever. We've got Marty Asani over on the other side of the Pacific, and on this side we still got our boy Rick Knox, who'll just let anything happen. I loved the match. I thought it was great. But we're gonna get into the fallout of this, because I was excited. I mean, it's our boy Jay. Yeah, he gets the briefcase, and you cannot but not feel crushed for Kota Ibushi and Kota Ibushi fans. And I'm like, ha! I've been a Naito fan for years. This is how it feels, Kota Ibushi fans. This is how it feels to be a Tetsuya Naito fan for the past 5 years. So to continue my thoughts on this, we're going to talk about the main event where Tetsuya Naito defeated Evil, thank God. You know what? This was actually, and I tweeted this out like midway through the match. This was their best match that they've had in the 4 times that they've encountered each other since the New Japan Cup Finals. since Evil turned on LIJ, essentially. This to me was their best match right up until all the shenanigans started to happen. And then I was like, okay, you lost me again. You really, really lost me. But Naito retains. So essentially, now this is where it starts getting complicated, or at least a little awful. Let's put it that way. Spoiler alert. I don't like this. So Jay White basically said, I will challenge you, Naito, on the 5th, not the 4th. I'm not working on the first night. I'm working the second night. I'm challenging you on the 5th, which left the 4th open. New Japan has a press conference earlier this week. And basically Naito he's the star of the press conference, and he's saying, look, I mean, Ibushi worked hard for it, and I kind of feel like he should get a crack at it, at the titles nonetheless. So I'll defend it on the 4th against Ibushi, and on the 5th against Jay White if I retain on the 4th. And I'm like, what? Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? We just had a fight. Hang on. Let's go back a few weeks. We just had an entire tournament to decide who was going to win the opportunity to get a title shot at Wrestle Kingdom, right? This is what the G1 is about. And we're invested in it, and they're great matches, and right till the very end, and Ibushi wins, back-to-back wins, and we're all thrilled. Now we get to Wrestle Kingdom. In the meantime, loses the title, loses the briefcase, which is completely legitimate. It's in the rules, right? It's like why would Ibushi get a free pass nonetheless? What's the briefcase for? Why did they have the match? Why did Jay and Ibushi have the match if Naito could just sit back, do one of these, and say, hey, brother, I'll give you a shot as well. Now, I understand, and by goodness, there were people who turned out on Twitter to tell me, you know what, Warren, he's a fighting champion. Don't you understand what fighting champions are? Yes, but I also understand what a sports-centric storyline is supposed to be, where you establish if you establish these rules and you ask us to care about them, and then you take the rug away from under us and you're like, whoop, you know what? Yeah, Jay White got a shot, but I'm still giving this guy the other shot. That devalues everything we've been invested in. And I feel, frankly, I kind of feel cheated this year. I kind of feel cheated, and I don't understand why I'm kind of bummed that I got invested so much into the G1 outside of the idea that these are always great matches. But even then, following into Power Struggle with this match here, I'm like, what was it all for? There was nothing there for anyone. And I say this sometimes about other storylines and other companies, and I'm going to say it here. The best way to not make me care about whatever you're doing is to not care about it yourself. And I don't think that New Japan, I don't think Gato here is showing any real care in his storyline or how we got invested into this as fans. I really don't. Now, if at the bare minimum, there'd be solutions to this, right? What I thought was going to happen, and which I still think has the best outcome here, is Ibushi and White on night 1, like one more time. Like Ibushi's like, because Kota has a very, very good claim on the briefcase. Still, because he got fucked. So he could go to New Japan and say, New Japan, hey, oh, hello, Kota, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. How's your neck? Oh, yeah, it's there. Good. What can we help you with? Hey, I got fucked. Oh, well then why don't we give you an opportunity to regain the briefcase on the first night of Wrestle Kingdom. And there you have an exciting main event that night that establishes the go ahead for night 2, right? To me, that was the obvious solution, but clearly the second thing, the second thing, I want to say hello to Kyle Tyson in the chat. Good to see you. The second solution I think that they could have done is finally go ahead and split the titles. I think this is, and there's still time for this to happen. We're still weeks out. But what if Naito was like, look, Ibushi, it sucks that you got cheated, but I can give you a shot at both titles. What if I give you a shot at the IC title on night 1? And then Ibushi wins the IC strap and you fucking split the titles finally, because they have to do that too. I'm kind of done with the double strap stuff. But you know what this means to me? Ultimately what this means to me, what it looks like, is that the main event situation in New Japan kind of stinks. It's kind of not good, guys. Stinks might be a little too hard, but it's not great. I don't care for it right now. Like, if you consider that they tried to make us care about Evil in the main event and it didn't work out, this is where we're at. We're having Okada is not in the main event, but he's doing something else. He's doing something important. He's going to he's going to have a match with Will Ospreay that is going to make Will Ospreay into a bona fide top tier New Japan star. That's what he's going to do. Otherwise, your main event people, Ibushi, Naito, White, they're all there, but they didn't all have to be involved. Now, does Gato feel like Naito has to be the headliner on both nights because he wants to sell tickets for both nights? I don't know. And that's a possibility. Why would you prefer to go to? Would you say, I'm going to night 2, but I'm not going to night 1 because Naito's only on night 2? Maybe, but my God, you've got a whole bunch of stars there nonetheless. Like, currently, Okada and Ospreay is on night 1. And I mean, that's a draw match in and about itself. I don't know what they're doing, man. It is so strange. It's been suffering for a bit. The main event scene, I mean. And, you know, not Naito's fault. I think the wild thing is that the booking on all the undercard, the mid-card, the undercard, has been so solid. It's just weird. Anyway, I thought overall, Power Struggle was a pretty good show, considering that I had very low expectations going in, but there were some legitimately good matches. Newsworthy, that's for damn sure. But I'm confused as to what they're doing moving forward with Wrestle Kingdom. I really do, but we'll see what happens. How about some Full Gear final thoughts? Did you guys watch Full Gear? Let's ask the question straight off the bat. Is Full Gear the pay-per-view of the year? Is it the top pape in North America of 2020? A lot of people have been throwing that around. A lot of people saying, yeah, maybe I guess. I'd say, yeah, I think so. I think the only other show that I really, really liked outside of Full Gear was the For the Culture show over the collective weekend. That show ruled hard. But you know, if we're talking pay-per-view, massive, you know, a big deal, like yeah, I think Full Gear's I think that's it. The card looked great on paper, and it delivered live as well. Serena Deeb defeated Allison Kay to maintain her NWA World Women's Championship. This was good and solid. Seemed to be some miscommunication in the match, but they worked around it. Deeb is really shining with her groundwork, and she's shining overall. This was a fun match. I really, really liked it. Super solid. Thunder Rosa appears at the end. It's wild that the NWA women on AEW are more exciting and more compelling than the homegrown AEW women. That's really interesting. But I liked this match a lot. Kenny Omega defeated Hangman Page in the curtain jerker. Here's my controversial take of the evening. This was my match of the night. I loved and what sold it for me was the pace of this match. It was a cardio masterpiece. These dudes did not stop for a second. The story was that they knew each other so well. Members of the Elite, the tag team partners. They even tried each other's moves on each other. Page even pulled out the Deadeye to try and squeeze out the victory here. Couldn't do it. And he himself couldn't squeeze out of the one-winged angel. I thought this match ruled. I thought it was so good, and it lived up to the hype. It lived up to this build that had been peppered all along for us, little breadcrumbs for months now, even before they officially split up. I dug this so much. I loved it. Omega winning is the smart choice, because I do believe that there is much more money in Omega versus Mox, and Omega winning the title and becoming AEW World Champion. I think there's a good case there. But Page, man, he's got to win the big one at some point. He can't keep losing these big defining matches anymore. That's the thing. And I think that like Full Gear, I think is going to become his his cursed pay-per-view, right? I think that's what it's going to turn into. I mean, if they want to give this the long-term story treatment where Page tries to get himself out of this funk, because psychologically, I think the story they're saying is that he's not there. He's still drinking, he's still sad, he's bummed out. If he gets his act into gear, then maybe he can beat Kenny Omega, kind of thing. And I think that's, if they do want to give us sports-centric storylines moving forward, there is value in having Adam Page work through his issues to get back to Omega down the road and get another shot at the title. I think there really is value in that. Want to say hello to Conrad, Everything Pro Wrestling. How you doing? Welcome to the chat. And Wrestling Plug left us a super chat. Thank you very much. It says a PS5 donation. Well, thank you. It's a start. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Orange Cassidy defeated John Silver. This was also a lot of fun. A super fun match. Again, another great paced match. I love the tornado DDT getting blocked and into a nice brain buster. The Michinoku driver and the spin doctor, a reverse spin doctor as well, is the stuff that we got during this match. Fun. Fun. I liked it. I thought it was good stuff. Darby Allin defeated Cody Rhodes to become the TNT champion. I love how Cody was deliberately, working on Allin's arm throughout this entire match. Great story here. The guy who has everything versus the guy who's got nothing. And Darby had a losing, well, he still has a losing record against Cody. He hadn't scored a win. And this to me, this is your story-centric, sports-centric storytelling that AEW keeps telling us that they want to do, that they want to get into. You had it right here, because this goes back to their first encounter, Darby and Cody, that ended in a draw. Allin tried to fight Cody time and time after that. Couldn't get the job done. Cody was ready for him. Cody probably wasn't even ready at the first match. There's a good story here that was told. Darby every time fighting Cody, maybe picking up a little more something, understanding something a little more, and finally gets the win on Rhodes. This was a big deal, not just because of the title, but for Darby Allin as a performer as well, as a character, I guess. That was really, really good for him. I was super happy that he won it because I think that it was time to pull the trigger on that. It was time for Darby Allin to get the big match, to get the big win. Cody's not going to suffer at all for this. So basically, I think everything is going to be cool here. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, where do you think Cody goes long term, not as champ? That's a good question. I think we had a bit of an answer as to what's coming up for Yoel Rhodes over the next few weeks. You know, if you ask me, and if you want to go like old school kind of stuff, but you know, I have different viewpoints on this, but let's say, you know, my basic gut is make Cody a pay-per-view wrestler. Make him wrestle on pay-per-views. Have him build the matches. Have him, I mean, he's a fantastic talker. Have him do tag team matches. Keep the singles matches for the pay-per-views. Make him Mr. Event. Make him, I think that's what you do, is you make him wrestle when it's special kind of thing. However, we're going to talk about that a little later on once we start talking about Dynamite. I mean, they probably have other plans for Cody at this point, but that's what I do. That's how I'd position him, you know? Have him turn heel and then say, you know what? I'm executive vice president of this company, and to hell with this stipulation that I set up months ago. I'm challenging for the world title kind of thing. Injection 2K left us a super chat as well. Thank you very much, Injection. It says, I think Brody Lee treating Paige like how Lee treated Colt could be money. Well, that's interesting. And the Elite tries to break Paige away from the Dark Order. Also, hi, Warren. Hi, hello. Thank you very much for the super chat. That's an interesting thought. I mean, we did see on BTE, you know, we saw the Hangman Sucks thing happen. You know how, you know, you don't know exactly how canon that kind of stuff is on BTE, but nonetheless, could be an interesting swerve here, right? To have Hangman be included into the Dark Order. I'm not against that. As long as they don't make him go too ha-ha, I guess, with John Silver, you know, maybe have him hang out with Stu Grayson for a bit. I like that. Anakin JMD left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. He says, so make Cody the Lesnar of AEW? Sure. But have Cody show up on TV nonetheless, because that's the difference, right? The idea isn't necessarily to keep him off television and make him, like, have him have tag matches, but make the singles matches for him matter. I think it's a role that would suit him. You know, if he's not going to be a champion, but you still want him to feel special, you want his matches to feel special, well, that's how you book, right? You sort of, you make him into something, you book him into something special. Thank you very much for the super chats, everyone. Hikaru Shida defeated Nyla Rose, and unfortunately, breaks my heart, this match was the low point of the pay-per-view. I think it was too long. I think the final third was very messy. It looked like Nyla was gassed, you know. You know, I really, really wanted this match. I really wanted this match to be as good as their Double or Nothing match. I really did. And I still believe, despite it all, I really do believe that Nyla Rose is one of the most improved wrestlers of 2020. I really do. I sincerely do. But there was just something here that didn't click. And it's so wild, again. It's just so wild to think that earlier in the match, on the buy-in, you had the NWA women who were there. And they were having such a great match. And everything was much more compelling. It's weird. It's so wild. Yeah. Anakin left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. He says, oh, make Cody the Goldberg then of AEW. Got it. No. It's not what I'm saying. You don't want to make anyone the Goldberg of anything. I don't know what I appreciate the super chat, Anakin, don't get me wrong. But that's just bad faith to be like, oh, that guy's the GOAT. No. It's not what I meant at all. The Young Bucks defeated FTR to become AEW World Tag Team Champions. I mean, what a great match. What a great story. What a great tribute to tag team wrestling this was. Athletic. Awesome. It really clicked. It super clicked. And they were given time, and they took the time to build to something really special. Hell, we even had throwbacks to the Hart Foundation, the Dudleys, the Hardy Boys, the Steiners, and even fucking DIY. And I popped massive when I saw FTR do the DIY finisher. That's a throwback within a throwback. Holy shit. And I love the story that, the fist guys get injured, right? Like Dax hurts his hand. Matt, the flippy guy, gets his leg hurt. So they're thrown off their games. They have to do other things. Like their basic components just break apart. They can't rely on what defines them in this match. They have to go further. I solid and a dream match that delivered. Because we talk about the concept of dream matches happening all over the place, and God bless everyone. God bless each and every one of you who still hold out hope for Undertaker versus Sting in a dream match. God bless you all, but you're better off with your imagination at this point than that happening. Remember a couple of years ago when we got AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura in WWE, and we were calling it a dream match, and it didn't live up to it. This lived up to it, and this has been in the works for years. I loved it. Now, the big question is, that's the question everyone is asking, right? And I'm going to answer it. Might be controversial. Was this match here, this tag team match, better than the Young Bucks versus Hangman Page Revolution? The answer is no. At least in my opinion, right? Of course. I still preferred Bucks versus Page and Omega. I really do. I thought it was a much better match. Not a much better match. It just went that extra mile. There was a little something more to it. And this is not me saying this match was bad or this match wasn't as good as Young Bucks and FTR. Was fantastic. It's like I say, it's like trying to pick between it's like trying to pick between two kinds of champagne. It's still going to be champagne. There's just one that might be a little more subtle, one that the flavor might agree with you more. It depends, but Jesus, this was good. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. DGMC says Kenny's Hulk up moment from Revolution greater than. Yeah, wasn't that great though? It's one of those little things, and it was such a fantastic match. Injection 2K left us a super chat again. Thank you very much. Says, catch me if I'm wrong, but I think you feel the way you do about the Sheeta Rose match is because of how lackluster they built the women's division on TV. I would say no. It has nothing to do with the build, in my opinion. And I would prefer that they had a proper build, but it didn't affect my appreciation of the match. Because I thought their match at Double or Nothing, Sheeta and Rose, was also very good. It did have a little more build. Here's the better example. As much as I loved FTR versus the Young Bucks, the build was shit. I thought the build was terrible to this match. And I thought it might affect my appreciation of it, but it didn't. So, to a certain... And this is interesting, right? This is an interesting conversation that I like to have with you guys sometimes, but I think it applies very, very specifically here. Because ultimately, and again, I'm a broken record here, but when we go back in 10, 15 years and we start doing retro reviews of of these pay-per-views, of this one here, we're going to look at Full Gear in a vacuum without the build-up, and we're going to look at FTR versus the Young Bucks, and we're going to be like, God damn, this match. In a vacuum, this match is outstanding. The build didn't give you the feels, didn't give you the emotions that you should have got, like Page versus Omega earlier on, where the build was wonderful to the very, very end. Everything just clicked. So when you get to so even if when we go back and we look back on this pay-per-view, we're going to look at Omega and Page and we're going to say, God damn, this match was great, regardless of the build. You know, we're not even going to talk about the build, because ultimately pay-per-views are vacuums. Are the matches good? Yes. No. Doesn't matter. Unless the build, the storyline really involves itself into the match, there's no reason. Like, and that's always my most interesting. I think it's an interesting question to ask ourselves. Why do we watch pay-per-views? Is it for the matches or for the builds? I think the builds make you want to buy a ticket, want you to order the pay-per-view, want you to sit down and watch it. I think that's what they're for. But you could have a shit build and have a really good match. You know, and I think Payback 2020 this year in WWE is a really good example of that, of shit builds, but with some really good matches on the card. So, but hey, thank you very much for the question, Injection. I thought that's I think as fans, it's a good question to ask ourselves. We're like, why do I watch pay-per-views? Why is the build so important if the match is going to be excellent regardless of the build, kind of thing. The Elite Deletion match happened. Matt Hardy defeated Sammy Guevara. I mean, this, look, again, this is the kind of stuff you like or you don't like, right? I like the surprises. Gangrel back on a major North American pay-per-view. Wasn't expecting that. Shane Helms back in as the Hurricane, coming in, reprising his Broken Universe role, and coming in as well as mild-mannered reporter Gregory Helms as well. I dug that. Those were nice. I thought it was a little long, you know, if we want to be nitpicky, and I still think the Impact Deletion matches were just the pinnacle of it. You know, the editing was sharper, the references were faster. The pacing was much more breakneck. You know, I remember, like, in the old Deletion matches, the fireworks spots. You know, here they felt kind of long, they dragged. They didn't feel as impactful. It was fine. Don't get me wrong. And as far as cinematic matches go, this was super enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. You know. I mean, yeah, this was fine. It was fine. If you enjoyed it, I think there was a lot to enjoy. If you didn't, I get it. Yeah. I completely get it. I'm not going to sit here and defend this. DGMC left us a super chat again. Thank you very much. DGMC says, surprised Sammy didn't win a la Orton Edge versus Foley. Yeah, true. Okay. I don't think Matt Hardy should have won. I really don't. I kind of think Matt Hardy should have put the young guy over, because clearly the plan at All Out was for Sammy to lose. At least that's what happened, and now he loses again. I mean, I don't want quite honestly, I don't want to get onto a thing, but you know, if Matt wants to do the right thing by the young talent he's working with, he has to put them over. It's just that simple, right? Otherwise, you're entering a whole other universe, and you know, getting your skull cracked on the floor with a chair and then being dumped in a trash bin. That's not how, you know, that's not how you put someone over. You know, outside of literally burying someone, you know, it's
Oh, yeah.
you know. And DGMC leaves us another super chat as well. He says, or at least audible at All Out and give Sammy the win. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Matt could have easily ended the match by just saying, Sammy, roll me up, instead of the shit show that happened afterwards. Hey, let's keep talking about Full Gear, because that was a fun show. Jericho versus MJF. MJF actually defeated Chris Jericho to become a member of the Inner Circle. I mean, this was a fun storytelling match. MJF did the Eddie Guerrero spot, rolled up Jericho for the win. It was fine. I thought it, again, if I'm being nitpicky, a little long. I didn't think it needed to be as long as it went, but it was fine. No problems with it. And the main event, Jon Moxley defeated Eddie Kingston. This match ruled. Two guys beating the absolute tar out of each other and feeling every moment of it. And okay, here, to come back around to Injection 2K super chat from earlier. As I'm saying, the build or lack of build or not lack of, but the shitty build of FTR versus Young Bucks didn't hamper my appreciation of the match. Here's the duality in which I have trouble like positioning myself. I can't take a clear stance on it. I think the build to Moxley versus Kingston was essential to this match, right? I think this is a match that benefited from its build and helped elevate it to a highly appreciated main event. Because if they hadn't, I sincerely believe if they hadn't had the build they got, we'd probably be sitting around going, well, that was a little weird. But no, there was so much investment, emotion poured into it. They roped us in and we believed it. We got into it. And that's what good pro wrestling promos should do, right? That's what, just bring you in. So you see, like, I'm all over the place with this thought process as to whether builds are important for pay-per-views or not, because it depends. I don't don't have a solid interpretation. You know, I don't have something very, very solid to sit on here. But look, it's okay. As opposed to, let's say, Jericho versus MJF, excuse me, I thought this match could have used a little more time. I thought it petered out too quickly. But look, super strong match, great emotion, great story, violent. I loved it. I thought it was good. I thought it was really, really good. DGMC says that he expected more blood and discomfort in Mox Eddie, to be honest. Yeah, I think so too. But I completely agree. And I think that if they had been given just a little more time, just a little more time, shave off a few minutes from Jericho and MJF for these guys, I think it could have got wilder. I think it made sense, the amount of shit that they did to each other within the time that was allotted. If that makes sense, to you. All right, let's pull out the rating, the ratings. We're gonna start talking about a few things here, a few specific matches elsewhere now. But yeah, Full Gear, good show, damn fine, good show. I don't think anyone came close to such a great. Again, maybe outside of the For the Culture show, but you don't really consider that a pay-per-view, right? It's an indie show. It's not the same thing. Cool beans. Sasha versus Bayley again. You know, it's wild when you think that we got the pure wrestling match from Sasha and Bayley after Hell in a Cell. Isn't that wild? This is the WWE we live in today, where you get the big vile blow-off match before the pure wrestling one. But hey, Meteors were flying everywhere, especially on the apron where Sasha hit one so hard that Bayley's head bounced off the post. The crossbody off the apron by Banks was wild as well. Bayley tried to bring in some toys, couldn't work out. She hit a backstabber and the Bayley to Bayley on Sasha, but Sasha couldn't get pinned for it. You know why? Because the Bayley to Belly, I've told you guys this before, the Bayley to Belly is a babyface move. She has to use the Rose plant as a heel. That's why the top rope elbow didn't work either. Those are babyface finishers. Bayley, haven't you figured this out yet? The backstabber flowed over into the bang statement for your girl. Sasha does it, and she defends successfully her title. After the match, she gets attacked by Carmella, who lays her out with a super kick and an X Factor. Good blow off to this feud. Like for once in WWE, you feel like this. There's a period that's been set here. It's like, boot, we're done. We're good for now. And you're like, and I like this. It's like no questions, no lingering, no third match. It's like, no, we're moving on to Carmella now. I like it. I think it's cool. And by the way, just to wrap this up, just before we move on, this of course happened on SmackDown last Friday. I forgot to mention. You guys know I don't like to talk about ratings. I think it's, I'm not a ratings guy. I don't think it's relevant for fans to be talking about this, but there is an interesting tidbit that came out of the ratings on Friday. First quarter hour, right? The first Sasha and Bayley top 2.5 million in the ratings. It is the biggest rated segment of SmackDown since when? Since when? Since Goldberg was on the show. I want to credit the guys of Voices of Wrestling for dropping that bit of knowledge out there. Sasha and Bayley draws bigger than Goldberg. How about that? That makes my night. Let's just move on to some hot trash here real fast, if you don't mind. The Rey Mysterio Seth Rollins telenovela has to stop. It has to stop. It is shit. It's been shit for weeks, but it has devalued everyone involved in here. No one is coming out looking better than they did going into this absolute festering, pus-filled boil that is growing on the foot of professional wrestling. Seth Rollins doesn't feel like a big deal anymore. Dominic doesn't have that plucky, he's the new guy, will he pull it off kind of energy that he had going for him. Rey Mysterio is a legend in the business whose last years he's on the tail end of his career, ladies and gentlemen, being squandered in a stupid ass story that does nothing to highlight how fucking great an athlete and how important he is to the business. Nothing. Buddy Murphy is in a questionable relationship that is bleeding online and has people rightfully feeling uncomfortable about it, especially when you consider what WWE superstars have been doing, sending DMs to younger fans. You know, it's a weird situation. And now, as of Friday, even Otis is getting cooled down. Poor Otis, who was one of the hot things right into the summer of 2020. You guys know how I felt about the angle with Mandy. I thought it was one of the best things WWE has done all year. No, we got to cool Otis down now. But that boy's way too hot. Wouldn't want to create a superstar out of nothing here. And that it's done the opposite to everyone involved in this fucking angle, this stupid ass storyline. It has to stop. It is ruining everyone. It has to stop. Got some super chats here. Anakin JMD left us a super chat. Thank you again, Anakin. He says, let it be known Sasha and Bayley are now Goldberg. No. Sasha and Bayley are better than Goldberg. That's all I'm going to say. And good for you, Bill. Good for you to, you didn't even have to put them over. You didn't even have to put in an effort and take a pin for either Sasha or Bayley or both. Yeah, good for you, Bill. See, you're that fantastic shit. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. Says Ray being a secret cartel leader is my head canon. Hey, why don't you bring Santos Escobar into all of this, right? Why don't we pile on, the subtle racism that's going on here? Just go all in on it. Yeah, just full on. That's full on. Anakin left me another super chat. Thank you, Anakin. Says $2 for that great rant. Thank you very much, Anakin. I appreciate it. But that being said, like, the storyline really has to stop. It is garbage. Hang on. Okay. I'm just going to connect this to something else that I said previously in a couple of weeks ago, just before I legitimately move on. That's why I tell you guys and gals, there's no such thing anymore as, at least he's on TV. Because if you're on TV being assassinated the way that you are, or the way these people are right now, you don't want to be on television. It turns out the rumor is that Mercedes Martinez was on a short-term contract with WWE, and she's coming up to renew it, and apparently she used that as a bargaining chip to be pulled out of the retribution angle. And good for her, because she understands the value of not being involved in shit creative and what shit creative can do for your career. And there are oodles of wrestlers out there whose careers have floundered and suffered because WWE didn't know what to do with them or gave them goofy angles or anyway. So again, at least they're on TV doesn't cut it. Not if you're in situations where the audience turns on you, doesn't care about what you do, because then Vince turns around and is like, well, goddamn, pal, you've been on TV for 4 months straight and you're not getting a reaction. People don't think you suck. We're going to take you off TV. That's what happens in his mind. That's what's going to happen to Buddy Murphy. I'm convinced. Anyway, cool beans. The Jey Uso and Roman stuff again. It's so good. Jay is backstage. He's starting an interview saying that he attacked Daniel Bryan because he's not blood. I like you, Daniel Bryan. You're a friend, but you're not blood, kind of thing. And Paul Heyman arrives. And Paul Heyman says and asks him, "Is this interview authorized, sir? May I ask you?" No, I'm still working on my Paul Heyman impersonation. And then he says, did you clear this with Roman, essentially? So then he takes Jay away and they go to talk to Roman. And Roman comes out and he's like, "What are you doing? Are you trying to tell your story?" I'm, wow. Like, if that's not Vince talking right there, it's like, you have to clear this with me first. You can't go out and say whatever you want. You have to clear it with me. Now, if that's not an analogy for Vince McMahon, I don't know what is. It's good stuff. It's just really, really good stuff. Just another little layer that's added on there. Roman is a complete asshole and a complete dick. Jey Uso's still getting used to. I love it. I think it's really good. It's really good. Let's move on to Monday Night Raw, and we're going to keep the cool beans going, if you want to believe that. Mustafa Ali versus Ricochet. Mustafa Ali. I'll get used to it. And I apologize. Mustafa Ali defeated Ricochet. Goddamn, if this wasn't one of the best matches that we've seen on Raw for weeks at this point. This was so well built and well paced, right? Starting off slow, testing out each other, right up until Ricochet hits that Hurricane Rana off the apron on Ali. And Mustafa was stiff with his strikes. That kick to the back of Ricochet's head, that sliding kick that he hit. Ricochet hits a dragon suplex as well. And then Ricochet blocks a tornado DDT from Ali. blocks it, goes into a Northern Lights suplex, and floats into a fucking brainbuster. Then there's that goddamn avalanche backstabber that Mustafa Ali did, which it's still imprinted in my mind how glorious it was. Ricochet misses a Phoenix splash. Ali is using a Koji clutch as his finisher. Are you kidding me? And as great as this match was, and I was excited about it on the Discord. You also joined the Discord, by the way. It's a showcase of the kind of talent that WWE is sitting on and chooses not to do anything of value with. And that is wild to me. How many times have I told you on the show, or you've seen me on Twitter, going, imagine having Ricochet on your roster and doing shit with them. Right? Doing absolute shit with them. And it's still the case. And people are like, he can't talk. When he does that kind of stuff in the ring, I couldn't care less if he talked. I don't give a shit about his mic skills. That's not what you hire Ricochet for. And then I have people saying, when I was saying, this is such a great match, so underutilized. And then people on Twitter are like, yeah, man, imagine if they had a great cruiserweight division on Raw. No, you don't have to have a cruiserweight division for these guys to be showcased. You just have to push them as credible threats. That's it. You don't have to suddenly be, oh, well, let's have a division. No, just have people mix it up. Just have them challenge for titles. Big guys, small guys, or guys of the same size. It doesn't matter. No, we don't need weight classes. Just as simple. You have talented guys. Let them go. Just let them go. Injection 2K, I saw your super chat. I'll get to it in a second. Thank you very much, by the way. More cool beans. Brian Cage versus Matt Sydal was the opener of Dynamite last night, and that was fun. I really thought this was a match where Cage was just going to but Sydal got a lot of great offense, and that meteor off the top rope onto the stage was great. Even got the page turner in as well. And the finish, he's on the top rope, Sydal is, and he jumps off, and Cage catches him midair, but catches him in the suplex position and hits the drill claw. That match ruled. I'll say it, and I'll keep saying it. One of the greatest reasons to watch Dynamite, or one of the most successful things that Dynamite does week in, week out, is start with a really fucking good match. Every week. That's why. Was it last week or the week before when they started with a promo? And I'm like, no, don't start that. We don't want to start our wrestling programs with talk. We want to see people fight and have great match. And I mean, that's how you rope your audience in, right? This ruled. Let's get some warm soda going here. We're gonna talk about the Cody segment. I'm not sure how to feel about it. I don't know. Cody comes out, congratulates Darby Allin for beating him, says that he's not going to pursue a rematch, and he wants another shot at MJF. But before he can finish his idea, someone walks into the ring. A lady, she's got platinum blonde hair. We've never seen her on AEW in the ring. She introduces herself as Jade Cargill, and she cuts a promo. Some background on Jade Cargill. Shout out to Les Moore over on Twitter. You should follow him at Pro Wrestling for this little tidbit of information here. Jade Cargill was a basketball player for the Jacksonville University Dolphins from 2010 to 2014. She had a WWE Performance Center tryout in April 2019, and then went on to train at A.R. Fox's WWA 4 Wrestling School. So, and now she's been she's also hanging out at AEW apparently. So she comes to the ring and she starts cutting a promo on Cody Rhodes, and I'm confused. I'm like, who is this woman? I don't know what's going on. And says, I've been sidelined for weeks studying my competition, and you, Cody, the American Nightmare, the Prince of Pro Wrestling. And she says, I think you said 1 week that you were the giant killer. What do you know about giants? Though, Cody, there's nothing giant about you. Yes, that was a penis joke. But she knows a giant. Shaq, she says, as in Shaq O'Neal. Like, okay, all right. Then Brandy comes out, and Brandy Rhodes cuts the most fire promo on her, on Jade Cargill, who walks away tapping Brandy's ass. I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at? What is going on? So I'm going to break this down as best as I can at this point with what I know and especially what I feel. Here's the thing. When Brandy came out, first of all, you guys know I don't consider myself to be the greatest Brandy Rhodes fan. I think they put her in positions where her strengths are not put to full advantage. Let's put it that way. It's nothing personal. I think it's mostly the way she's used. And in this case, I've seen the comments on Twitter about the style, the inflection, the how she was speaking and how it was problematic I thought it was fantastic. I thought this is the best thing that AEW has done with Brandy. Honest to God, this is it right here. What I saw last night was amazing. She was on fire, and I think I was so taken aback at its energy and how full of gumption it was. I was like, why am I so taken aback? And then I realized that it was because it was juxtaposed with Cargill's low energy, dull promo, that it just made it stand out even more. Now, it's an odd choice for AEW to bring in a completely unproven commodity onto the flagship show, the big time AEW Dynamite, to cut a promo on arguably one of the best promos in the company, Cody Rhodes, and to have her essentially carry the segment, because there was no back and forth really. It was her carrying the segment with her topic, and it's a hell of a spot they put her in. Now, did she do well? No. Did she do terrible? No. It was weird. I think she clearly needs work on her promo skills. That's absolutely for sure. But there's a lot of people who are singing her praises and going, oh, what a fantastic, what a presence. And I'm like, I'm ready to give her a shot because this is the first time we saw her. And honestly, what an ungrateful position she was put in for her debut. I think they could have eased her in. They could have transitioned her in a lot more delicately than this, because that was a lot to carry for your first time on national television. That being said, I'm not excited. I'm not thrilled. I'm like, wow, who is this? This is fantastic. I didn't think the segment worked all that well right up until Brandy came out and just destroyed her. Thought the segment dragged. I thought it was dull. I have never seen this girl wrestle, so I don't know if I should be excited to see her. I'm looking forward to seeing her wrestle, especially at this point. But the thing here is, this is what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that AEW has created an expectation on an unproven, perhaps a little green talent who is maybe not ready for the spot that she's being dropped in. And that won't be her fault. But I'll circle back around to that argument once we see her wrestle, because there's no point in sitting here saying she's too green. We don't know. She has never wrestled in a ring in front of a crowd for a television. her cage match entry is bare. So I'm really curious to see what's going to entail out of this. Now, if they were thinking that they were getting a super charismatic, extraordinary out of the box mic worker, a Eddie Kingston light, that were a far cry from that, but she can improve. I've seen worse promos. Hell, we listen to Nia Jax talk every week, and she's been doing this for years. And the other thing, I am not excited to see Shaq wrestle. I'm sorry, but I'm not. And I think that what they're leading into here is a mixed tag match. I think this is this is going to be the outcome, where Shaq is going to wrestle with Jade, and Cody and Brandy are going to wrestle, and they're going to try to play off of strengths and hide flaws. But Cody is the only full-time, tip-top professional wrestler in that ring whenever that match happens. I understand why they're doing this. I understand. Well, you know, Warren, they're doing this to get new people to watch. I get it. I'm not stupid. I know why they do the celebrity stuff. But I'm not excited to see Shaquille O'Neal wrestle in a wrestling ring. Even when he was supposed to fight the Big Show, I was weary. Now we're, 15 years removed from that? The guy's not getting any younger. This is, look. More power to you if you're excited about this. That means that this segment speaks to you. You're the audience for it. For me, this doesn't. I'm willing to give. I'm willing to give everyone involved more than enough wiggle room to knock it out of the park. I'm interested, looking forward to seeing Jade Cargill wrestle. That's my next. That's what I'm most looking forward to out of all of this. I want to see her go. Because as it stands, I don't know what the hell is going on. I really don't. More super chats. Let's see what we got here. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. It says Cody versus Shaq in a body slam challenge. Book it, Tony Khan. Yeah, man. Book it. I'd love that. DGMC left us another super chat as well. Thank you again. Very, very kind of you tonight, DGMC. Says, was Brandy possessed by Swole during that promo? I think Swole tweeted out that she gave Brandy some pointers. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because that felt, it felt very Ariel Monroe-ish.
Oh, yeah.
Anakin left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. He says, how mad do you think Big Show is if Cody gets Shaq? Oh, well. I was going to say, well, at least he has his Netflix show, but he doesn't anymore. No one watched it because it was probably terrible. DGMC leaves us another super chat again. Thank you again, DGMC. Says, does Charles Barkley run in on this mix tag? If he comes in, all he has to do is pick up a microphone and start cutting some sick burns on Shaq, and I'm here for that. Thank you, DGMC. And Anakin again with another super chat. Thank you very much. Big Show and Shaq was supposed to be WrestleMania 2017. That really? I thought it was like eons ago. Man, 2020 is really messing with my space-time. My understanding of time these days. So, I mean, look, I don't know why you'd want Shaq wrestling. There's going to be so many smoke and mirrors. It's going to be wild. Anyway, thank you everyone for your super chats. Let's keep going. Let's get some hot trash real fast. So the Inner Circle induction happens, and I thought it turned out to be pretty much what I thought it would be, and I wasn't offended by it, but I wasn't entertained. I think it's too hokey to want to. But here's the thing. Look, after they're done with the induction, they're backstage, and then Sammy Guevara arrives, right? Because he wasn't there at the induction, and I'm like, cool, he's selling the injury, but no, he's back now. He got his head split open at the Hardy compound. He got concertoed on the cement. He got put in a trash bin and dumped in the woods. And you're going to tell me that 2 or 3 days later, he's back and nothing else. Oh, he has a Band-Aid on his forehead. Sure. But Jesus. I mean, we were freaking out when Sasha came back 2 weeks after eating that horrifying beating from Bayley that lasted over 3 segments on SmackDown. Remember that? That we were there when that happened, and 2 weeks later she's back. I'm like, what the hell? Sell the injury. 2 3 days later, he had his skull broken open. I didn't care for it. That was poor storytelling. Cool beans again. Penta El Zero Miedo is versus Rey Fenix was what a match. What a match. And you know what? You know what I liked here is that it wasn't excessive in the super setup spots, and I thought it flowed really, really well. Penta delivered a flipping inverted DDT, which just blew my mind. Anyone who was in the Discord, by the way, join the Discord. Anyone who was in the Discord last night as we were watching this, I was like, wait, what did we just see? What? Oh my God. It was so good. Phoenix hit a corkscrew plancha. Then Penta delivered a package pile driver on the ring apron. And I swear Phoenix's neck broke on that one, but it didn't. And a destroyer on the floor. And another package pile driver in the ring to win. And then we got Pac's return. Pac making his return. As Eddie Kingston comes back in the ring, starts cutting a promo, blah, blah, blah. Pac gets in there. He's pissed off. He wants to fight Kingston. Our boy, the Vampire King from England, is back. I could not be more excited. For Pac to be back. To me, the most well-rounded wrestler that we have in the world today. It's him. From everything. Size, strength, agility, selling. I don't think there's anyone more well-rounded, perfected than Pac. We are better off watching him wrestle. Glad that he's back. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, people wanted Lucha Underground Penta. Well, you got him yesterday. Damn, Skippy. You sure did, pal. Except with less camera cuts. Less editing. Let's put it that way. But I am going to warm Soda Pac's return. Why? You seem so excited, Warren. Why you want to do that to poor Pac? This problem exists if you're in the Twitter wrestling bubble. Because otherwise, you're just sitting at home. You were watching Dynamite last night. Yeah, fuck yeah, Pac is back. You know, kind of thing. Earlier in the day, Tony Khan tweeted out that something big was going to happen, right? Something that was going to change the landscape of wrestling. The balance of power would shift in professional wrestling. The balance of power would shift. And then it was this Tony Khan's tweets, which, you know, are what they are, were emboldened by online reporters, you know, saying, you know, that there's something that's going to happen tonight that definitely will change the landscape of wrestling, you know, in accordance to what they've been told, right? During Dynamite, Tony Khan tweets out and says, guys, stay till the very end. I swear you won't be disappointed. Like, this thing is just piling, right? And it turns out that the big deal is Pac's return. Now, I told you. You heard me, right? I got excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited Pac is back. I love Pac. All right? But you were expecting the but. Here it is. The return of a currently The return to your roster of a currently signed wrestler is not landscape changing. It's a return. It's a guy coming. It's great. It's one of your top stars. It's a guy that you wanted to push, right? But it's not earth-shattering. So instead of having us go, woo, Pac is back, Pac is back, we're sitting around saying, wait, this wasn't that big a deal.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't that big of a surprise. It is, but in the context, it isn't. Now, the first problem with this situation isn't necessarily Tony Khan, but because the problem is the reporting of it. Tweeting out vaguely, we know stuff, but we can't tell you. Just it added to the fire here, especially, and it's especially egregious when there's backtracking afterwards that occurs, where those who reported were sort of like, well, hey, it's what it's what I was told, and what can you do about it, And I'm not knocking on anyone, okay? I want to make sure that that y'all understand that I'm not trying to beat down on anyone. But here's I want to point this out just so that everyone can remain aware of stuff, of how media in general works, right? But specifically in this case here, online wrestling reporters, or even those who still work for print magazines, go figure, they have their sources are within the business, right? They work directly with, or they have contact sources that work directly with the companies. It's not outside people of the companies who are feeding them scoops. It's people who work inside the companies. And when things get leaked, they get leaked for a reason. There's an agenda, all right? That agenda could be numerous things. Could be a wrestler, a producer, someone higher up in the company who wants a certain situation to be known so that maybe it will spur change, maybe create some clout for themselves. There's a lot of reasons why that happens, okay? But there's always a reason. It's not reporters chasing down leads. They get information and then they try to confirm, they try to make it happen, right? Now, that agenda can also include discrediting online reporters. And I'm saying this because I've seen this in the past. I've seen this kind of stuff happen where certain people will feed bad information to a reporter to make them look bad and erode trust within with online reporters. I've seen this happen in the past. So I'm not saying that this is exactly what happened, right? I'm not saying that this is exactly the thing, but I wouldn't be so, like, I don't know what the agenda is. It could be just as simple as miscommunication, cross signals, could be a lot of things. But I think that the fact that this was reported by an outside source that seemed to, like I said, elevate what Tony Khan was bringing, added fuel to the fire, generated higher expectations, right? But essentially, Tony Khan did it to create hype, right? And that's what wrestling promoters do. They want to create hype around their product, and I get that. I get that. It's as old as wrestling itself. Can you get the carny out of wrestling is the question I posited on Twitter last night. Can you take the carny business out of professional wrestling? And we've talked about this before. Pro wrestling was built on the idea that fans were marks, right? And mark being a mark has never, it's a con man terminology. It's to say that I've suckered this person, this guy, this gal, into into a position where they're going to give me their money. That's essentially what it is. Being a mark is not a good thing. There are people that you could sucker out of their money. So you didn't like, if you were a promoter of wrestling, you didn't like the marks. You were tricking the marks. And in some instances, pro wrestling still acts that way. And it's been something that I've talked about a couple of times that I wish we'd abandon. I wish the carnies would get out of the business. The old guys would go away so that fans could be treated like fans as opposed to people that you can just say that you could use some silver tongue talking to extract a few extra bucks from them. I read a report this week that John Moxley was getting pissed backstage, hearing guys going on Twitter and saying, look at this Mark, what he's saying on Twitter. And Moxley getting mad at them and saying that stop calling fans marks. Stop that. You have to consider them as your fans and not as marks. The business is changing. This is not the same thing anymore. And while WWE has trouble treating its fans as fans, I think AEW has done a better job overall. But stuff like what Tony Khan did erodes that trust. Erodes trust, erodes goodwill. It's one of the reasons why WCW started to go downhill. Because every week, week in and week out, it'd be like, this is our main event. This is the main event. And then we'd get swerved. So at some point, that wears on you as a fan. And you're like, why am I watching this? They never deliver. They never give me what I want. They never give us what they're promising. They're swerving us with something else. Maybe Tony Khan does sincerely, profoundly believe that Pac is a landscape changer. And honestly, when he signed him 2 years ago, he was. But he's in his company. It's not as if you're changing stuff. At some point, we all expected Pac to come back. It's not that big a revelation. I posit unto ye, good viewers of the MrWarrenHayes show, overhyping and overselling an event leads to losing trust. I want the carny aspect of pro wrestling to leave. I don't want any more, this is the greatest moment in the history of our sport moments all the time. And I understand very, very clearly the business of pro wrestling, what hype does, and this doesn't just happen in wrestling, it happens all over the place. But I understand I clearly understand how this works. I just wish we would change. AEW keeps telling us we want to change the world, we want to do things differently. Maybe start by not trying to oversell something in hopes that we just tune in to pop a rating, because eventually and again, I'm not saying that this is an observable behavior that they've done before, or that they do regularly. I don't want them to do it regularly, because if they do, eventually fans are going to smarten up to this. They're going to be like, well, whatever Tony Khan says is just a bunch of bullshit, and we don't want that. We don't want that. We want the opposite. We want AEW to continue doing what they do and be close to the fans and connect with them. That's what we want. We don't want Vince McMahon in a tower somewhere where having someone else tweet from his account for him because he can't be bothered to do that. You know what I mean? The AEW has built itself on a foundation of good faith, and goodwill. And it has a nice reserve of that. And I think they have to be very, very careful that it doesn't erode away too quickly. I guess that's my point. We got some super chats here. DGMC left us more super chats. Again, thank you very much. The first one he leaves is, if Pac wasn't in full gear, power would have shifted. Pac in a shirt? What are you talking about? And the other, his other super chat says, Tony Khan's overhyping felt like a 2010 Dixie move to me, Dixie Carter. Yeah, see? And Dixie Carter is a really good example of that carny aspect of the business. She was really, really good at that. I really didn't care for it, and it brings back it brings back memories of the 1990s, the mid 1990s up into 2000s, where promotions would promise stuff and they just wouldn't deliver on them, but they'd be, oh, this is fantastic, and then you're like, what am I tuning in here? What am I tuning in to watch? Anyway, Injection 2K left us a super chat as well. Thank you very much. He says the shifting of power thing Tony Khan was talking about should have been the elite beginning to show why they are the execs in a subtle, obvious way, in my opinion. Sure. Okay, I see what you mean. Sort of bring a little more to light the idea that Cody and the Bucks and Omega do actually work for the company. Have them make some executive decisions on air, maybe. Okay, see, yeah, at least in storyline that would have been cool. I think coming back to the tweet, if Tony Khan had not said like the landscape of professional wrestling and just said we'll change AEW, I think we would have been a lot more forgiving, and we would have probably understood that, oh, what he's talking about is probably in storyline, that this tweet has something to do with a story, as opposed to, oh shit, New Japan invasion. And we're going to wrap up the weekly wrestling inspection on that lovely note. Before we sign off, we do have one more super chat to read off here from Injection 2K. Thank you again. Left it a little earlier. It says, off-topic question. Yet it's still a wrestling question, so it's not all that off-topic. But I do appreciate the delicate touch that you put on this. Which year of WWE's version of ECW do you think is the most watchable week to week that you would suggest for me to watch? I would say none of them. It wasn't good. Like when they were on Sci-Fi. Hang on. I'm trying to reposition my brain here. The TNN stuff was still very good. When they were on Sci-Fi, it wasn't great. Nah, man, the WWE stuff, the ECW WWE wasn't all that great. Like, if you have the network and you want to dive into ECW, go for the papes, go for the pay-per-view, go for the pay-per-views that they have of ECW back when it was an NWA territory, back when it was back when it was still a territory.
Yeah.
They have a lot of the extreme stuff as well. Look at the pay-per-views. That's where you'll get your really gritty, cool ECW stuff. The week-to-week stuff on Sci-Fi, it's coming back to me a little more and more, and it wasn't good. It really wasn't good. Nah. You'd be much better served watching some WCW Thunder than, and you'll be much more entertained. It'll be sillier. It'll be much more authentic and fun than that. Evan Wright left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Evan. He says, picks for Tag League, Super J Cup, and Best of Super Juniors. You guys are really pushing me over the edge tonight. I don't care about Tag League. Gorillas of Destiny, I guess. I mean, isn't that the easy pick? Finals. Are the brackets out? I don't even know if the brackets are out. I haven't checked. Let me take a look here. World Tag League 2020. The entrants are set. 2020. Oh, they're doing round robin. That's right. My guess, honestly, it's either going to be a toss-up between Yeah, to me, it's going to be a toss-up between the Dangerous Techers and Gorillas of Destiny, in my opinion. But I think you go with God. If they're flying them in, I think they got to do that, right? Like, honestly, or unless they have like this really cool surprise opponent for the Great Okan, like a landscape changer. That's what I think. Super J Cup, man, it's hard not to go with Lio Rush, right? Oh, but he's not New Japan talent, and you know he might look good. He might look good in the tournament, but you know they usually don't have their talent, outside talent win. You know, I think Chris Bay is going to look really good. And it's Lio Rush versus El Phantasmo in the first round, and this is a bracketed one. Because I was going to say, man, I think I'm going to go with El Phantasmo. That'd be my guess. I think we're going to go with El Phantasmo. I think El Phantasmo knocks Lio Rush out of the first round. And I think we're going to get El Phantasmo and ACH in the finals. As for the best of Super Juniors, Hiromu. I think that's a given. I think Hiromu is going to be the guy. I mean, you need him challenging for the title at Wrestle Kingdom. Anything else is just a complete another swerve. Utter swerve. Ishimori versus Hiromu at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
Evan Wright left us one last super chat. Thank you very much. Evan, he says Pac is his partner. Got it. Pac is his partner. Also, my picks are Chris Bay, Hiromu, and Gorillas of Destiny. I'm pretty, like I said, Gorillas is probably the safest bet, but Zack Sabre Jr. and Tai Chi have had a great year with the titles. I think they feel like a tag team. Chris Bay is a bold choice. Oh, landscaping partner Pac. Okay. Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. All right. But yeah, Chris Bay is a bold choice. Chris Bay is a super bold choice. Regardless, Super J Cup, the fans are going to win. What a great little tournament that's going to be. And hey, what a great time we had here this evening here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Went absurdly over time, but I appreciate it. Hey, but I'm not done yet. I'm heading over to patreon.com/Mr. Warren Hayes to go chat with the patrons. We're going to be talking about AEW games. We're going to be talking about favorite matches of October 2020. If you're not a patron already, why don't you come over? You can join us live in the chat or in the Discord, in the voice chat. I take calls, we chat, we have fun. It's a good time. It is just like tonight. It's two different types of good times. This here is me getting hyper and angry about telenovelas and wrestling. And over on the other side, it's me with my hair up being very, very chill and having a good chat with everyone. So come on over. It's a good time. But otherwise, I want to thank you all very much for watching. If you didn't already, do consider giving the video a like here on YouTube, a review on your favorite podcast application. I appreciate all of that. And I appreciate you, viewers, watchers. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you next time.